Hey there, everybody. My name is Dave. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you so much. What an honor to get to kick off the conference. That is very exciting. I am so grateful to be here. Forgive me for not wearing a collared shirt. I'm actually on vacation right now, and you can't see it, but I'm actually camping on the beautiful Oregon coast. But I was asked if I could share some of my experience here for the conference, and I thought, what better way to celebrate the life that I have now? Because I know that I wouldn't be able to do any of this were it not for Alcoholics Anonymous and the service that was offered to me through the program. And I am privileged to get to share a little bit about Tradition Six. That's where I would like to share some of my experience with. First, if there's anyone who is new to the program, um, who is perhaps new in sobriety or just returning, I just want to welcome you and say I hope that you receive from this program what I have received, and that is a life beyond my wildest dreams. I hope sincerely that you would get a sponsor and work the steps and go help another alcoholic, because those things have absolutely changed my life. So Tradition Six says an AA group ought never finance or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from my primary purpose. Now, part of my story as an alcoholic is that when I eventually was given by the grace of God the gift of desperation. At that point, I had been homeless and unemployable. And so I entered into a residential treatment facility, which was run by a prominent faith-based organization. And, they gave me a lot of great things in that program. They gave me a place to live, obviously, which is something that I needed. They fed me. They gave me, the basic necessities, and they helped me to reconnect with my family and become employable again, and all kinds of wonderful things. But one of the best things, of course, that they did is that they sent us to Alcoholics Anonymous, and they told us to get a sponsor and to work the steps. Now, I absolutely loved being in that program. I stayed there actually in total for 2 years. I graduated a 1-year program and then stayed on as an intern after that. But while I was in the program, I fell in love with AA. We went to 5 meetings a week, and I got a sponsor, and I worked the steps, and my life changed. And so after I graduated from the program, I stayed connected with AA and got into all kinds of service, and have since continued in the Alcoholics Anonymous program. And I know that when I first needed to get sober and made the decision that I was going to do something about it, I needed more than just AA. I needed a place to live, and I needed all these basic necessities, and that was important. Um, and I think that it's important that we acknowledge that AA is specifically tasked with doing something very specific. And there are many other things that an alcoholic might need that are things that AA should not be doing, but they might be related in some way. And you notice in Tradition Six that it says that they should not lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise. So these are related facilities or enterprises that there might be all kinds of ways that they are connected, that there is some kind of relationship, but there has to be a special kind of separation to protect Alcoholics Anonymous from influence from these outside entities. And something that I've realized so one thing I'll mention is that I now work for that same organization. So the organization that I graduated from, I had since become a part-time employee and then a full-time employee, and I'm now an executive director in Portland. I got sober in the Bay Area. So hello to all my Bay Area family. But last year I moved up to Portland to take over as an executive director of this organization. And so I work for an organization that does recovery work, and AA is a big part of that. We instruct our guys to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. We want them to get a sponsor. We want them to work the steps. But you'll notice I'm not mentioning the name of the organization that I work for. When I'm sharing in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, I might mention part of my experience about having gone through this program, but I don't mention it by name because I'm speaking in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I believe that this organizations like that, great as they are outside of this AA program. And I've seen what happens when people work for an organization like that and think that working for an organization that does recovery means that they're in recovery themselves and that they're working recovery, which is very important. That's really not the case. A lot of people, when they get sober, they're very passionate about recovery, and they want to help people, and they want to perhaps get a job as a drug and alcohol counselor, and that's great. All for that if that's the right fit for somebody. But working in recovery is not service. And that's very important. I have to know for myself today that just because I work for an organization that may do all kinds of great work, that if I get paid for it, it's not service. This is a program that is built on altruism, that the service work that we do is an avocation. It's not a vocation. And I've seen what happens when people confuse those things. My best friend and my first mentor when I was in that program was living there on site for 3 years. He was working for the program, but he did not stay connected in Alcoholics Anonymous. And eventually he moved out of that building. He wasn't working for them anymore, and he had no foundation for his recovery. And within 1 week of moving out, he relapsed and he was dead a few days later. And so I see what happens when people confuse working in recovery with being in recovery. It's very important that we don't confuse those things. Now, so like I mentioned, I work for this organization. And when I'm in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't mention that by name. But similarly, when I'm talking in public, perhaps on social media or in some type of public setting, which I do frequently, I also don't mention the name of Alcoholics Anonymous. In that case, I might mention the organization that I work for, and am happy to promote it and to, for our marketing purposes, talk about the work that we do and the wonderful stories of the people who are in recovery in our program. But in that case, I don't mention Alcoholics Anonymous. I may talk about, working a program of recovery, but I never mention Alcoholics Anonymous by name. And I think that there's a purity to Alcoholics Anonymous that has enabled the program to be successful all these years, that has remained intact because we have protected it from outside influence through Tradition 6. I think that's why Tradition 6 is so important. And when you read in the 12 and 12, it talks about how early in the history of Alcoholics Anonymous, there were all of these wonderful things that they wanted to be a part of. They wanted to run their own hospital, and they wanted to educate people and to bring legal reforms for alcoholics and addicts. And those are wonderful things that individual alcoholics absolutely should desire to be a part of. There are plenty of wonderful things that we can be doing outside of Alcoholics Anonymous as individuals, but we don't bring the name of Alcoholics Anonymous into those arenas. And that's so important. I think that's where with Tradition 6, we can do wonderful work as individuals, but it's important that we don't bring the name of AA with us. And when we do that, it protects this true purity of AA that is so special, that it's an organization that, as we know, is unlike any other. And it's because of traditions like this that we don't allow anyone to take the name of AA and use it for their own profit. We don't accept outside gifts so that they can't have influence over what we do. It is purely a work of avocation, a labor of love, that it's one alcoholic working with another. And Tradition 6 helps us to remain in that and to continue to do the wonderful work we do, and to do it with integrity. And that's why I love Tradition 6 so much. And I love the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, that although I can do all these wonderful things on the outside, if I don't have AA in the exact way that it is right now, then I probably wouldn't be able to have all those other things anyways. So anyways, that's what I would like to share. Thank you all. I hope that you all have a wonderful weekend in the conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. And I hope it's a lot cooler where you are than in Portland was. And I see you've got the Golden Gate in the background, so good choice. I want to again welcome all those who have joined us in the last few minutes to the 6th annual and 2nd virtual Unity and Service Conference. For those of you joining us, there is a globe at the bottom of your screen. If you have not enabled it, please click on that and pick English or Spanish. We also are so thrilled to be able to have ASL interpretation for the entire weekend as well. So thank you so much, David, for your share. Great presentation on Tradition 6.